I'm looking for food for mom who can't move.
A 5-year-old granddaughter rummaging through the park's trash cans. When I saw her after 6 months, she was thin and wearing tattered clothes.
Mom is sleeping at home. There's nothing to eat.
It's been 6 months since my son started working away from home. What happened to my daughter-in-law and granddaughter while I was unaware? I regretted becoming distant from my daughter-in-law out of consideration. Taking my granddaughter's hand and saying, "It's okay now," she showed a smile.
Really? Will you help mom?
We immediately headed to my son's house. However, there was a shocking truth hidden there. 3 years have passed since my husband passed away at the age of 55, and I've been living alone, feeling lonely. My sister lives nearby, which has been some consolation. My son, John, who is turning 30, lives with his wife and child about a 30-minute drive away. Actually, I worried because after graduating from college, there was a period when John didn't work. He was doing a part-time job while getting deeply into his hobby of touring on his motorcycle.
I want to enjoy life. Traveling on my motorcycle, seeing sights, it's the best. I don't want to work.
Watching my son say such things, I couldn't help but feel anxious. However, a few years later, he finally found a job and got married, which relieved me. But John's habit of playing around didn't seem to change, causing worries for his wife, Kate. Kate, 2 years younger than my son, was lively and cheerful, and I liked her immediately. Soon after getting married, my granddaughter Mary was born, and I was completely overjoyed. Kate, I've bought diapers and milk for Mary.
Oh, thank you. It's messy inside the house, but please come in.
It's okay. I'll tidy up. Kate, you just relax. Since her parents couldn't help her being far away, I frequently visited my son's house, bringing baby essentials and household items for my daughter-in-law. I did my best, cleaning up, comforting crying Mary, and more. My actions were driven by the desire to see my granddaughter and the goodwill to help my daughter-in-law, but it seemed they were pressuring her. Caught up in the cuteness of my granddaughter, I didn't realize this. One day, when I visited my son's house, there was no response no matter how many times I rang the doorbell. Did they go shopping? Deciding to come back later, I was about to leave the bag of toys for Mary's birthday present on the doorstep when I heard my granddaughter's cries from inside. Worried, I tried to peek through the window, but when the crying stopped, I quietly backed away. It was then that I realized, for the first time, how much my daughter-in-law disliked me, using the excuse of not being home. Despite the shock, I sent a text to my daughter-in-law letting her know I left the present. I see. I'm just her mother-in-law, so she can't relax. Even though I understood it logically, I couldn't help but feel immensely sad. And to make matters worse, something happened that added to my distress. That night, my son visited home with a stern expression. There were 2 matters he needed to tell me, both of which were painful for me.
Mom, I've been transferred to another state for work, so I'll be working away from home.
Really? We won't be able to see each other like before. I'll miss you. As the location was inconvenient for family life, he decided to go alone, leaving his family here. I was shocked, but my son's expression was grim. I wondered why, but his next words revealed the reason.
And, I hate to say this, but could you please stop bothering Kate already?
Huh? What do you mean?
Bringing household items is fine, but seriously, lay off Kate. Bullying your daughter-in-law isn't cool these days. I never thought you could be such a jerk.
I denied any malicious intent, but my son grew more forceful.
You've been frequently peeking into the house, passive-aggressively cleaning, and comforting the baby, right?
Well,
Kate was crying because of you. Don't be so cruel.
I didn't mean to. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing, but it seems it was excruciating for my daughter-in-law. I apologized to my son, but he wouldn't forgive me.
If you keep harassing her, I'll cut ties with you, Mom.
No way. John slammed the front door shut and left. At that moment, memories of my son's childhood flashed through my mind. He was mischievous and demanding, but I always raised him with all my love. Next, I thought of the adorable face of my granddaughter Mary. Feeling guilty for hurting my daughter-in-law, I called her. Kate, I'm sorry. I'll be more careful from now on.
Did John say something? I'm sorry. I'm overwhelmed.
No, it's my fault. I'll make sure to ask before coming over from now on. However, Kate remained silent and didn't respond. Maybe she wanted to tell me not to come to her home. After that, John didn't say anything to me and seemed to head to his new assignment. Later on, I tried to contact my daughter-in-law to arrange bringing gifts for my granddaughter's birthday, but her responses were lukewarm. She often asked for items to be sent via delivery because she was busy. However, one day, Kate unusually called me. When I encouraged her to speak, she said, tearfully,
Actually, we're short on money.
Worried that my son's bad habits might be showing, I asked to meet her and discuss things at a cafe. Kate arrived alone, having left Mary with a friend. Her expression was very somber. According to her, since John started his solo assignment, he stopped sending money for living expenses. Then, she dropped an even more shocking bombshell.
John seems to be having an affair.
What? Kate continued.
When I was video calling him, I saw women's clothes hanging on the wall in his room.
When I said I would ask my son about this, Kate choked up, saying,
I don't want to break up with him. I believe he'll come back to me.
Feeling sorry for my hopeless son, I apologized to Kate. Kate then made a request, saying,
I've started working part-time, but it's not enough. Could you send me $500 each month?
Despite Kate's hesitance, it was all John's responsibility. I agreed without hesitation. Kate added,
Also, I'm overwhelmed with work and can't clean the house properly. I don't want you to see it.
I understand. Don't worry, I won't just drop by unexpectedly. Anticipating Kate's difficulty in saying it, I responded kindly with a smile. But what is my son thinking? Kate asked me not to tell John, but as a mother, I couldn't refrain from giving him my opinion. After parting ways with Kate and returning home, I called John that night. I subtly asked if he was cheating, but he seemed irritated and angry.
Hey, Mom! Don't bother me with such trivial things.
John, clearly frustrated from work, didn't outright deny cheating, so my anxiety only grew. After that, various expenses such as clothing for my granddaughter and medical bills when she fell ill started piling up, and Kate began coming to me for money. By this time, I couldn't see my granddaughter at all, but I believed it was all for the sake of dear Mary and my unfortunate daughter-in-law. So, I continued to provide money from my husband's inheritance and send allowances. Even when my son occasionally returned from his solo assignment, he never came to see me, only insisting over the phone.
I'm so busy. Be nicer to Kate.
I was torn apart, feeling lonely without being able to see my son, but I started dreaming of sweet Mary more often. Still, I convinced myself that as long as my granddaughter was living happily, it was enough. But looking back now, I should have gone to see my granddaughter. At that time, I never could have imagined things would turn out like that. It was a spring day, nearly a year into my son's solo assignment. My sister, who lives nearby, invited me to a cherry blossom viewing spot near my son's house. She was worried about my mood, but the sight of the cherry blossoms in full bloom lifted my spirits a bit. However, what caught my eye then was a small child rummaging through the trash can in the park. Concerned that the child might be alone, I approached. When the child looked up and our eyes met, I blinked and looked again in disbelief. What? No way. The child was none other than my granddaughter Mary, whom I had seen only in dreams. She should have been 5 years old by now. Mary, is that you? What are you doing here?
I'm looking for food for Mom who can't move.
It had been a year since I last saw my granddaughter, and she looked emaciated, her collarbones visible, wearing tattered clothes with torn pants. The Mary the first knew had chubby cheeks and a cute face, so I was shocked by her drastically changed appearance. Where is Mom?
She's sleeping at home. There's nothing to eat, Dad took all the money from home.
It seemed that something had happened to my daughter-in-law and granddaughter while I was unaware. I regretted becoming distant from them out of consideration for Kate, waiting for her to reach out. I immediately approached my granddaughter and hugged her. Everything will be okay now that Grandma's here.
Really? Will you help Mom?
My eyes welled up at the thought of my granddaughter, who was always thinking of her mother, and anger toward my son made me feel feverish. However, despite my emotions, a shocking truth was hidden there. I explained the situation to my sister briefly, and went to my son's house with my granddaughter. I rang the doorbell, but my daughter-in-law didn't answer. Since the front door was locked, I couldn't do anything and felt at a loss. Then Mary said,
Wait a moment. There's a secret entrance.
And slipped in through a small window at the back of the house. Later, after Mary opened the door from the inside, I rushed into the living room. However, my daughter-in-law was nowhere to be found. The interior was terribly dirty, with half-eaten cup noodles and empty beer cans scattered around.
Mommy disappeared. I wonder where she went,
said Mary. Leave it to Grandma. Everything will be okay. I reassured the anxious granddaughter and, as a precaution, left a note in the mailbox saying taking Mary home and headed back to my house. Back home, I gave Mary a shower and changed her into new underwear and clothes I had prepared to give her as presents. Despite being thin, she looked adorable after I combed her hair neatly. When I made omelets, Mary's eyes sparkled, and she eagerly started eating, exclaiming, "Delicious!" She must have been very hungry. After the meal, she told me that her immobile mother had asked her to go find food. If that was the case, then where has Kate gone? I felt like I'd been had. Could it be? Kate's condition suddenly worsened. I thought she might have called an ambulance herself and been taken to a hospital somewhere. I tried calling my son, but couldn't reach him. Meanwhile, my granddaughter, now full, started to doze off. I quickly prepared a bed for her, and she was overjoyed.
Wow! The bed is so fluffy. It feels amazing.
She exclaimed before quickly falling asleep. Worried about my daughter-in-law, I called my sister, who lives nearby, and asked her to look after my granddaughter while I headed back to my son's house. What I saw there was a shocking sight. Is that Kate? As I hid in the shadow of the neighboring house to observe Kate without being spotted, an elderly neighbor approached me. We had exchanged greetings when my son and his wife moved in, so we were acquainted. After hearing a certain story from the neighbor, I trembled with anger. 2 hours later, I received a barrage of phone calls from my daughter-in-law after she saw the note, saying, "You took our daughter without permission." I'm sorry. I happened to meet Mary at the park, so I brought her home. I intentionally played dumb and apologized.
Taking her your home without permission is rude.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to worry you. But since it's been a while, can you let her stay with us for 2 or 3 days? Please. I'll make sure to thank Kate generously.
Huh? If that's the case, I don't mind, but there's one promise.
Her proposal was,
since Mary has a habit of lying, please don't believe anything she says.
I already knew the truth of the matter, but without letting on, I went along with her to reassure her. It's common for young children to do that. Understood. I'll just let Mary's words go in one ear and out the other. 3 days later, my daughter-in-law came to pick up Mary.
John is supposed to come home for the weekend. I need Mary to help with cleaning, so I've come to pick her up. Give her back.
I won't return her to a mother who deceives your own child. At that, my daughter-in-law raised her eyebrows and glared at me.
I don't know what you've heard from Mary, but didn't I tell you that she was a liar? It's absurd to believe everything a child says.
Finally, Kate's true colors began to show. It seemed she intended to dismiss everything as lies from Mary. However, upon hearing those words in the living room, my granddaughter burst out crying and ran out.
I'm not lying. I was worried about Mama.
Seeing my crying granddaughter was heartbreaking. Not wanting to witness further arguments between adults, I asked my sister, who was at our house, to take Mary to the detached room. Then, I confronted Kate once again. I showed the pictures I had taken while hiding in my son's neighbor's house when I went there. They depicted Kate in intimate poses with a young man, and another where she was slipping wads of cash into his pocket. Kate's expression changed for a moment, but then she burst into laughter.
It was just a little fun. John is under my thumb, so I can manipulate him any way I want. If you keep this up, you'll never see your grandchild again.
Furthermore, I shared what I had heard from the neighbor. She said,
"It might be meddling, but I can't bear to see your granddaughter in such a situation."
Kate, it seems you've been leaving Mary outside and frequently bringing young men into the house, right? The neighbors have noticed.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kate tried to play it off, but the neighbor had also taken videos and photos of her with her lover. According to the conversations in those videos, Kate had lied about her health to spend time with her lover, and she had cleverly concocted excuses like going to look for food to keep Mary from coming home. "I'll tell everything to John," I declared. Yet Kate continued to laugh.
I've already told John that I'm being bullied by you, so he doesn't trust you. It's pointless to tell him anything. I'll just cry and tell him that you're lying.
Finally, I understood why my son had turned cold towards me. It was all Kate's doing. At that moment, a figure emerged from the neighboring room with a furious expression.
Kate, you were deceiving me, weren't you?
No way! Why are you here?
As it turned out, it was my son who, upon hearing my plea, took leave from his assignment and came home, thinking it was another case of marital abuse. However, he realized the truth from the evidence photos and his daughter's testimony.
It's all your mother's fabrication. Don't believe those photos, they're fake.
Are you saying Mary's lying too? I trust my daughter's word over yours.
But
Although I hadn't been informed, my son had a change of heart after his child was born. He said he had worked day and night at his assignment to increase his income and sent substantial amounts of money for living expenses. Kate couldn't have been short of money. She had spent all the money she received from John and the allowances I sent on her young lover. Finally, John realized he had been fed lies by his wife about being mistreated.
Mom, I'm sorry for all the terrible things I've said.
It's okay if you understand. Then, my son decisively announced divorce to Kate. Realizing she had no way out, Kate instantly apologized to me and began to beg for forgiveness.
Mother-in-law, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was just lonely without John. Please ask him to reconsider the divorce for the sake of our daughter.
I may forgive what you've done to me, but I'll never forgive you for what you've done to my precious granddaughter.
But even after all this apologizing,
Apologies don't make everything okay. My son and I looked down coldly on Kate as she broke down in tears right then and there. Afterwards, evidence of her infidelity came to light, and she was divorced from John, who demanded $20,000 in alimony and $50,000 in child support. Kate, who had hoped for reconciliation, borrowed money from a loan shark to make the payments. Furthermore, John was furious upon seeing Mary's emaciated state and reported it to the police. Kate was taken into custody by the police and received a severe reprimand. It was discovered that Kate had met the young man she was having an affair with at a bar and had been supporting him financially. However, when the money ran out, she was quickly discarded. While I know she was being chased by debt collectors, her whereabouts afterwards are unknown. John also demanded $20,000 in alimony from Kate's affair partner. He too borrowed money to make the payment and is currently working day and night as a day laborer. Now, my son has returned from his assignment and is living with Mary and me at my house. A new life with my granddaughter, son, and me has begun. With more smiles from my granddaughter, I'm enjoying peaceful days. How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Well then, let's meet again in the next video. One day during lunch.
It's a pity you didn't graduate from university.
The highly educated, pushy mom looked down on me, who has no academic degree. The other moms cover their mouths with their hands, nodding sympathetically with pitiful looks in their eyes. I didn't know what expression to wear, so I just stayed silent.
We have to make sure our kids don't end up like this.
In the next moment she uttered those words, my true self, which she had been looking down on, became evident.
Don't you know? My mom.
After sending off my son to morning practice for his club activities, my day as Samantha White begins.
Good morning. Has Mike already left? That's early.
My husband appeared at almost the exact moment my son left. He sat down at the table with a big yawn, holding a newspaper in one hand. I know, right? I thought it wouldn't last, but it's surprising that he stuck with it for 3 years.
Definitely. I feel like he's grown a bit tougher.
I answer as I arrange breakfast in front of my husband, who is talking while spreading the newspaper. I feel like his back has broadened. I wonder if he's eager to grow up quickly.
Middle schoolers are still kids.
He puts the newspaper aside, and I take a seat across from him. Well, you know, he says he wants to get a job. My husband, holding a fork, pauses in surprise.
Really? Isn't he quite high-ranking in his grades?
Yeah, he is. So the teacher is suggesting he go to high school. I couldn't help but think that I should have had more options when I became an adult. Having graduated from a good school opens up a wider range of job opportunities. That's why I wanted to provide an environment where my son would pursue what he wanted to do. With encouragement from us as parents, we decided to have our son take the entrance exam and enroll him in his current middle school. But I have absolutely no intention of pushing him towards attending high school. I didn't want to limit my son's life in any way.
Well, I think he should just go on to high school.
Well, maybe he has something he wants to do too.
Yeah, that's right. He still has time until graduation, so let's see how things go.
Both my husband and I were in agreement that we just didn't want our son to have any regrets. I'm really grateful that my husband shares this mindset. I was recalling the conversation I had with my mom friends yesterday.
Hey, which high school is Emma's son aiming for?
Well, considering his current academic level, I think a high school would be a safe bet.
A high school. As expected of Emma. I wanted my child to be a diligent student too, but I wonder what went wrong. At least I want him to get into B high school.
But B high school is perfectly fine too. My child says he doesn't mind which high school he attends. It seems he reluctantly chose a high school because the teachers recommended it.
At a high school, over 80% of graduates go on to attend top-tier universities. Because of this, it's incredibly popular nationwide, attracting students from all over the country, and the competition ratio and deviation score are quite high.
I envy you even more now. I'd love to hear more about your educational approach, Emma.
Well, I suppose I should at least have my child attend my alma mater.
Emma, you graduated from that famous university, didn't you?
Yes, but it's nothing special, really.
You can really feel the difference in upbringing, can't you? Today, you're wearing such lovely clothes and that bag. Is that Hermes?
Yes, it is. They notified me about their new collection the other day, so I couldn't resist.
Is that watch from there too?
Yes, it is. The salesperson recommended it to match the bag, so I bought it.
This is who they mean by having received a proper education. I'm truly envious.
Emma Williams is the one who is being admired by the other mom friends. It seems she graduated from a famous university, and her husband works for a large company. Although nobody knows where exactly her husband works, Emma always dresses in expensive designer clothes.
By the way, how did Mike do in the test the other day?
After the parent-teacher meeting, I found myself inadvertently involved in a conversation with 2 others who were leaving around the same time. Suddenly, Emma asked me a question. Oh, same as usual? Since Mike got deeply involved in his club activities, He's become more diligent in his studies. Maybe he's discovered the enjoyment of sticking with something. Apparently, he leaves the house early in the morning to study before club practice. Thanks to this, he's been maintaining high grades in his tests.
I heard Mike did really well this time.
Did he?
His score was apparently right behind my child's. Samantha, how do you help him with his studies?
Oh, I'm not doing anything. He's just working hard on his own.
Don't say that. Which high school are you planning to send him to?
He says he wants to get a job instead of going to high school. The other mom friend raised her voice when she heard that.
What? Of course, you're going to stop him, right? With such good grades, it would be a waste.
Well, it's his own decision, so...
Samantha. You have to make decisions for him as a parent. It's the children who will struggle in the future. If the parents don't bother, it'll end in disaster.
That's right. You should learn proper education at Emma's study group.
No,
Emma, when will the next study group be?
Ignoring my attempt to decline, the conversation between the mom friend and Emma continued.
Let's see, how about next Saturday?
After hearing Emma's response, the mom friend sent me a glance. That day.
Samantha, you always seem to be so busy. You never come whenever we invite you.
Emma is making time for you. So Samantha, why don't you come sometimes?
It's okay if it's too much trouble. Unlike us, Samantha is working, after all.
But, Emma.
Emma indirectly looked down on me. I'm not comfortable with this kind of one-upmanship or talking about children as if they're possessions. That's why I've always declined these so-called study group lunch meetings. Emma's son is always among the top 5 in his grade, a real genius. As a mother who raised such a child, she attracts other moms who are eager to hear her educational philosophy, which is why they call these lunch gatherings study groups. Honestly, I do think it would be better for him to at least finish high school. However, that decision should be made by himself, not by us parents. All right. I'll adjust my schedule and join in. I reluctantly agreed with a sigh, and Emma seemed satisfied. I believe in my son. That's why I want to support the path he chooses and help him if he gets stuck. Our only wish, my husband's and mine, is simple. We want our son to lead a fulfilling life that he is happy with. When we decided on Mike's middle school entrance exam, my husband and I discussed it and agreed that this was the one thing we absolutely wanted to secure. When I first met the mom friends, I enjoyed the lunch gatherings where we could talk about our children. But as Emma became increasingly focused on academic backgrounds and upbringing, I started to feel uncomfortable and gradually distanced myself. While I believe education is important, I don't think it defines everything. Emma obviously judges people based on their academic backgrounds. She must also look down on me for being a high school graduate who works. But what she can't stand is that my son competes academically with her own son. Whenever she sees me, she makes a point to talk to me, trying to assert her superiority. Each time she does this, I grow more uncomfortable with Emma. Mike, I'm having lunch with Ray's mom and some others this Saturday. Would you like to join? Ray will be there too.
Oh, really? I have something to do, so I'll be late. Is that okay?
That's fine. Mike and Ray seem to be good friends, and it was through my son that I got to know Emma. I believe it's not right for parents to limit their children's friendships, so I maintain a relationship with Emma for Mike's sake. Saturday. The designated restaurant was a typical upscale place with sparkling chandeliers. Emma, dressed in luxurious attire, blended right in.
Oh, Samantha. You finally made it.
As she spoke, her eyes scanned me from head to toe, as if evaluating me. Seeing Emma exchange meaningful glances with the other mom friends made me feel self-conscious, wishing I had worn something nicer. There were 2 round tables prepared, with mothers and children sitting separately. I sat down next to Emma as she had invited me, and the lunch courses were served one by one.
By the way, Samantha, you mentioned something about your educational background. Which university did you graduate from?
I didn't go to university. I graduated from a commercial high school and started working right away.
Oh, I see. That happens when families don't have much money. How unfortunate.
The other moms cover their mouths with their hands, nodding sympathetically with pitiful looks in their eyes. Don't pity me without knowing anything. I didn't know what expression to wear, so I just stayed silent.
We have to make sure our kids don't end up like this.
I felt like I was watching a TV shopping channel as I watched Emma continue pressing on me.
Children can't make decisions for themselves yet. Look, see? Like those who can't even keep to time.
Looking at the children's table, I noticed that only Mike's seat was empty.
It's the parents' responsibility if their children turn out like that. It's okay, Samantha. Even without a degree, it's never too late.
That's right. That's right. We'll support you too, Samantha.
I deeply regretted coming to this gathering against my better judgment.
Samantha, you might not know, but Ray attends the Holmes Summer School, which is a famous institution. Right, Emma?
That's right. Holmes Summer School is a fantastic place. The teachers are top-notch, and many of the students who attend are from prestigious backgrounds. After all, you have to choose your child's friends wisely, don't you?
The moms nodded to Emma in agreement.
I visited the school last month, and it was truly wonderful. Samantha, you should consider.
Sorry, I'm late.
Interrupting Emma's voice, Mike appeared. Mike, you're late.
Yeah. But hey, were you just talking about Holmes Summer School?
Mike's question caught Emma's attention.
Do you know about it, Mike?
What do you mean, know about it? It's my mom's summer school.
There was a moment of stunned silence in the room.
Ha! Sorry, did I say something wrong?
Well. We whispered to each other while glancing around at everyone's faces.
What do you mean? Your mom runs a summer school.
Yes. She runs the summer school. Ray goes there too.
Samantha, you're a business owner.
I wouldn't call myself a business owner.
Mom, why are you being so modest? You're a great businesswoman. I'm proud of you, so be proud of yourself.
Encouraged by his words, I explained to the mom friends. Holmes Summer School was originally started by an acquaintance as a small private school. However, it wasn't doing well, so they asked for my help as someone who can handle numbers. I started with financial support and, as I had studied a bit about running a business in high school, I gradually took on more responsibilities. Before I knew it, I became the head of the school. It's not just me. The teachers and staff members are the ones who really take care of the students, provide appropriate support, and create a good atmosphere. Thanks to that, word of mouth spread, and more students joined. I just think I'm lending my name. As I talked about this, the mom friends who usually directed envious glances at Emma were now looking at me with admiration. Just then, my phone rang, so I excused myself and left the table. When I returned after finishing the call, I found Emma picking a fight with Mike.
Your mom being the owner of home summer school is just a lie, right? Show me some proof.
Even if you ask for proof, why don't you just call the school and check?
You can easily coordinate something like that.
Realizing her own position was now in jeopardy, Emma lashed out at Mike, driven by her emotions. Her words became increasingly nonsensical, and the other mom friends looked at her with pity.
Mom, please stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
Before I could intervene, a boy wearing the same uniform as Mike stepped in to separate Emma and Mike.
Shut up. You should stay out of this.
It's you who needs to shut up, Mom. You're embarrassing. Don't show my friends your ugly side. Mike, I'm sorry. My mom's saying crazy things.
No, I'm sorry. I must have said something to upset her.
I was moved to tears as I realized how much this child had grown to be able to say such things. Despite Emma's one-sided outburst, he could still apologize. And having such a wonderful friend like Ray made me proud. I'm sorry things got out of hand for both of you. If I had explained about the summer school from the beginning, this wouldn't have happened. Ray, thank you for standing up for Mike. With that said, I paid for two and left the place. Mike, you've grown up. I was really surprised.
Really? I didn't expect Ray's mom to be like that.
Mike stretched as he looked at the blue and orange gradient of the dusk sky. So, you're proud of me, Mike? I peered into his face with a slightly mischievous smile.
Stop looking at me like that. You're annoying.
I chased after Mike, who was embarrassed, and ran away. Hey, Mike, what do you want to do after graduation? Walking beside him, I waited for his response while looking at the beautiful sky.
I want to expand that summer school.
Huh? Is that what you want to do, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. I started enjoying studying and was able to push myself in club activities all because of the friends I made there. I want more people to know about it.
Even though we're together every day, you never know these things until you ask.
Everyone says that school feels so comfortable because of Mom. So, I want to be the kind of person who receives such compliments.
The face of my son, illuminated by the setting sun as we walked together, suddenly blurred. I'm glad I attended the lunch gathering today. I felt the growth of my child and had conversations I wouldn't normally have. I think I'll never forget today. And since then, Emma, who used to belittle me every time she saw me, has gone. Instead,
Hey, Samantha. Would you consider hosting a study session for us next time? We can use the home summer school as the venue. I'm sure there are plenty of people who would love to hear you speak.
No, I'm not doing that kind of thing. She started to flatter me and talk to me in a silky voice. Thanks to her, I got the chance to hear my son's true feelings, so I'm not just ignoring her. Since he also expressed an interest in business, I've been gradually involving him in helping out with the school since then. Seeing him buying books and doing various research online, I can tell he's genuinely taking this seriously in his own way. When I talk to my husband about our son, he may joke about his fatherly dignity, but deep down, he seems genuinely pleased with our son's growth. I believe we will continue to spend precious time together like this, caring for each other and cherishing every moment.